Hey guys, my name is Third Eye, and today we'll be taking a look at the enormous effort that Michael Jackson put into his second studio album as an adult from 1982, Thriller, that will make it the best-selling album at that time and even up to this day. But before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you like my videos, and if you have any idea for a future video about music, comment it down below. Ever since this album came out in 1982, there's been many people wondering, how did Michael Jackson manage to do what the industry considers a perfect album? What's the secret behind Thriller's success? And those are the questions I'll be trying to answer in this video. Well, let's start by saying that talent does not really matter in here. I'm sorry, but it is that way. At that time and nowadays, having a wonderful voice like Michael's was and is not enough. Now even more, because on the internet, everyone can get their 3 minutes of fame whenever they want. All the huge artists that do a lot for the industry haven't got there because of their incredible talent, but because of their immense work and passion. That's what explains how artists like Madonna, whose singing skills are mediocre, have become such huge icons for the pop culture. They have reached that level thanks to the enormous effort they put into their projects. Michael Jackson, that can be considered one of the most talented and biggest artists in history, is not an exception. He got all his fame thanks to the enormous amount of work and effort he put into his projects. And that's exactly the secret behind Thriller, the best-selling album of all time. Not for how incredible the project sounds, but for how Michael managed to break all barriers expected. To put ourselves in context, Michael was already a pop superstar before Thriller was released, thanks to his debut album as an adult, Off the Wall, from 1979. At that time, he could have practically released anything, literally, and it would have been successful anyways, because he was already huge and at the top of the pyramid. Many considered Off the Wall already his professional peak, and that it would only go downhill since here, and that's exactly what I mean by saying that with Thriller, Michael broke all the barriers put in front of him. Instead of letting go and do a commercial average pop record that will get easy sales, he insisted in making the best-selling album of all time, an idea he had in mind since the first day he started recording the album. At that time, it would be practically impossible for him, because the industry was changing with the transition into the new decade. Michael was the king of disco music thanks to Off the Wall, a genre that was slowly losing power at the beginning of the 80s. New styles like hip-hop, new wave, synth-pop and post-punk were born, so it was clear that Michael would not go far with another disco record. As much as we love to think this way, Thriller's success is not due to Michael's talent. Michael even searched for the best of the best to contribute to his album. I mean, he got Paul McCartney, one of the Beatles, to sing with him in The Girl Is Mine. He got the legendary Eddie Van Halen to perform a solo in Beat It. He got Quincy Jones, one of the most successful producers that had produced records for legendary artists like Frank Sinatra, to help him out with the record again. He got the King of Terror, Vincent Price, to make a terrifying speech in the title track. You get me, right? And having all these musicians reunited, the hard work would start. Michael and Quincy spent 3 months working non-stop on the album inside of the Westlake studios. Michael would spend around 10 to 20 hours in the studio each day, just to make around 30 songs when they were finished. The best tracks were chosen, and when the entire crew reunited to hear the material, Michael felt completely disappointed with the material he had been working on for the past 3 months. Every member of the crew felt satisfied, but Michael was such a perfectionist that he would not let it slide. He wanted the best-selling album of all time, and he would get it by any means. He referred to the material as mediocre and supplicated his team and label to work on it for a longer time.
When we came to hear the first pressing of Thriller, we'd only finished the mix of Beat It at 7 a.m. that morning, and we were still there waiting for Bruce to come back with this test pressing. So everybody's totally fried. We're all looking at each other. Quincy's looking at Michael, and Michael's kind of shaking at it, and we decided that it wasn't ready.
I snuck out and went across the hall in the studio to another control room where Michael was. He was sobbing. He was just crying and unhappy as could be because we hadn't achieved that sonic statement that we had all wanted to make.
Around this time, Michael would suffer from a huge depression as he felt incapable of reaching the top again, even more now after this last episode of disappointment. He would spend the nights crying over all the frustration of the creation process. After 2 days of rest, Michael would come to the studio again, as his label had accepted the opportunity of reworking the album. This time, he would feel motivated to do things in a perfect way. He would repeat takes over and over again for hours until they would sound perfect for him.
Anybody who's worked with him notices this. The way he'll make you do a thing until it's perfect. He'll say, it's beautiful, we have a take. Then he'll say, but can you give us one more?
It's a question of doing something over and over and over and over again until you get it right and you figure out what it's about.
Check how much of a perfectionist he was that he even recorded in different parts of the studio to take advantage of the sonority of that exact place, which is just kind of ridiculous, but it proves how he wanted his stuff to be immaculately perfect. Are you starting to realize that it's not about talent anymore, but about the unreachable level of demand Michael had for his material to sound perfect? After spending 20 hours in the studio, he would drive home and spend sleepless nights practicing over and over all the screams he wanted to include on the album. And that's still not all of it. When having Eddie Van Halen in the studio, he made him try 30 different guitars until he would find the best for him. And I think you can imagine how surprised Eddie felt after experiencing the level of demand for MJ's music. All the songs got remixed and shortened, new songs were added, and the album was ready. Michael was still doubting if it was perfect or not, but it sounded definitely better than what it had sounded like when the first time the team had checked on it. And now, talking about the release, I think the rest is just history. There are no words to explain how this album revolutionized the industry, because it did in so many ways. It's not even everything about the music. It's incredible that he added elements of rock, new wave, electric guitars, and synthesizers, but there's also music videos for 3 of the singles, a format he would completely change from the moment he made these 3 videos. Other artists were satisfied with just interpreting their song for their music videos, but Michael wanted more. He wanted to tell stories related to the songs. He wanted to make the videos meaningful. Well, he did, and the fans loved it. Michael's influence would inspire other artists to add stories to their videos as well, and that's what makes them timeless classics. All these music videos were broadcasted on television programs, but MTV refused at first, as they did not stream music videos by black artists at that time. But Michael Jackson's success and his fandom were the first ones in history to make them change their mind, another huge achievement in Michael's career. And the list of things Michael Jackson did for the industry with Thriller goes on and on. On the 25th of March 1983, for the Motown 25th anniversary concert, Michael performed the first ever moonwalk in history, and that spectacle also revolutionized the way of performing as well, that's for sure. Can you even believe that Michael didn't feel comfortable with that performance as well? Literally, one of the most important spectacles of all time, which many consider flawless, was mediocre from Mike's perspective. I'll never understand the definition of perfect for this man. I'm just blown away by his musical demand. This story is just incredible in my opinion. It blows me away completely. The moral of it is, definitely, hard work pays off, man. It will always do. And if you need more proof, the album has sold over 60 million copies by now. Michael won 8 Grammy Awards for it and another 8 Crystal Pyramids in the American Music Awards. Hard work pays off. Always. He knew from the beginning he would work for years until he would get the best-selling album of all time. And guess what? He did. Make your own conclusions. There's definitely loads of things you can learn from his behavior and mentality. Hope you liked today's video. And until next week, bye. See you around.
Thank you. When something like this happens, you want those who are very dear to you up here with you. I'd like to ask for my sister, Latoya and Janet, please come up. Also, I'd like to thank all my brothers who I love very dearly, including Jermaine. I made a deal with myself. If I win one more award, which is this award, which is 7, which is a record, I would take off my glasses. Now, I don't want to take them off really, but